I'm Paul Rodriguez. Here are some questions that we've been getting, and I wanted to give you guys insight on my answers and my take on everything. So without further ado, here we go. First question is, how do you maintain a positive mindset when facing setbacks in the real estate ventures? So I would say your mindset has to be your strongest attribute. Things are going to go sideways, unplanned or unforeseen events are going to pop up, and you have to keep the mindset that you're a problem solver. That's your main job. You could say that you're a real estate investor. You could say, I'm a finance guy, I'm a numbers guy, I'm an underwriter, whatever the case may be. But you have to be a problem solver first. And so if you always have that in your mind, then solving problems comes naturally to you. You don't have to like stop what you're doing and then solve the problem. You just automatically start thinking in that way. I would say positive mindset. Number one, speak positively. And number two, always be a problem solver. And that should solve 99% of whatever issues you have. Second question is, what daily habits or routines do you practice to keep your goals front and center? I would say journaling has been massive for me. You want to have quantitative numbers that you can go off of, or your goals have to be quantifiable, right? And so if I'm keeping track of every day, this is what I do, this is how I do it, this is how many times I do it, you can get a pretty good idea of if you're going to be successful, or what you need to improve on, wherever the case may be, because everything is trackable. You could say, hey, listen, if I'm a cold caller and I've been cold calling 100 people a day for a month, that's great, but can I keep that consistently? Like, is that a habit or a routine that's I can continue to do every single day? And if the answer is no, the answer is no. You need to kind of figure out stuff that you can actually do, right? Like, setting big goals for yourself is awesome, but when it comes to the daily routine, it needs to be realistic. Like, not every day you're going to be able to call 500 people or whatever the case may be. So you have to set attainable goals on the daily and large goals on like your yearly or your 5-year or 3-year, whatever the case may be. Third question is, how do you stay motivated and focused on your long-term goals amidst daily distractions? This is actually something that I think a lot of people could probably resonate with, in that I actually struggle with this. I have a problem with staying motivated and focused because I have so many different things that are quote unquote distractions from the business, right? Whether it's family, whether it's prior engagements, whether it's education. It's hard to juggle all those things. And I get it. Like, I have a very tough time with it. I would say motivation. I would say the biggest key on that is reminding yourself what you want to do. Like, what's your goal? What's your why? What's your reason for doing all this? For me, it's my family, right? Like, I have a 5-month-old daughter named Mila who I love very much. And one day she's going to grow up and she's going to say, Dad, I want to go to college, or I want to invest in real estate, or I want to become an environmental biologist, whatever the case may be. And that is what motivates me, is having the freedom, having the financial backing to allow my daughter to do whatever she wants. So I always remind myself, hey, that's my motivation. That's my reason for doing everything that I do. So anytime I'm feeling down, or I'm having a bad day, or maybe things just aren't going the way that I thought they were going to go, I just remind myself, like, hey, this is for her. This is like everything else doesn't really matter. She matters. So if I'm always focusing on her, how could I lose? And then the focusing portion of it, I would say keeping a very tight calendar. Like we've recently implemented, I would say in the last year or two, we implemented Google Calendar. And that's been instrumental for me, right? Because before I would just sit on the computer for as long as I could and get as much done, as much work as I possibly could do in one day. But then you get burnt out, and then you don't even want to jump on the computer anymore. You don't want to work anymore. So now I say, okay, if I'm working for this amount of time, let's call it 8 hours in a day, I'm going to lock in and knock out as much as I can. But after that 8 hours is done, I'm done. I'm not doing anything else. And so that's allowed me to juggle family and work a lot better. It's setting that really good schedule. So the motivated piece, you have to figure out what your why is. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you working so hard? If it's your kids, if it's your family, great. Tap into that. If it's a big goal that you want to accomplish, even better. Go for that as hard as you possibly can. And then on the focus side, stay organized, stay scheduled out, have a plan, and execute it every day. All right. Fourth one is, what role does self-belief play in your success, and how do you cultivate it? Man, this is everything. You have to believe that the good things are going to happen, that the goals that you have for yourself are going to come into fruition, that you're going to accomplish all your goals, because it starts with you. If you don't believe, why should anybody else believe? If it's your business, if it's your production, whatever the case may be, you have to believe in it more than anybody else. You are who it starts with. So if you're always telling yourself, oh, this will never happen, or, maybe this will happen, it's not going to happen. But if you every day wake up and just say, I believe this is going to happen, it will happen, you speak it into existence, and then you work for it every day, you can't lose. And one piece that I would say that ties greatly into this is actually tapping into like the feeling of what it's going to feel like when you accomplish that goal or you climb that mountain, right? It's called the law of vibration. If you're able to first feel what it feels like once you sell that property, or once you make that big sell or that big buy, imagine how good you're going to feel. That's the first part, understanding that feeling, the law of vibration. And then, boom, step number 2, manifest. That's when you say out loud, this is going to happen. Write it down. Tell it to somebody. Tell it to somebody who understands your goal. People that speak entrepreneur. There's a lot of different languages. You could say, oh, I speak English or I speak Spanish, but do they speak entrepreneur? Do they understand what you're saying? And if they do, say it out loud just to see how it sounds. And sometimes that could be the difference in something coming into fruition or not. Is understanding the feeling, tapping into that feeling, and then working towards it. Putting it out there for the universe, letting the universe know, hey, I want this to happen, and it will happen. Next question is, can you share a time when a shift in mindset significantly impacted your progress? Yes, absolutely. So I would say the biggest thing for me was after we read the book, The Secret. It's a great book. I would highly recommend anyone to read the book, The Secret. There's obviously I think it's an hour and a half on YouTube, the full movie. It was like an early 2000s movie. And they basically interview a bunch of different people that, went through these crazy things. Like, guy fell out of a plane when he was parachuting. His parachute didn't work. And the doctor said, hey, you're never going to walk again. You're never going to walk out of this hospital. And he just kept telling himself, I'm going to walk out of this hospital. I'm going to do it. And they said, sir, your bones are shattered. Your muscles they've atrophied, and you're never going to be able to walk. You're never going to be able to hold your head up again. And he just kept saying, watch me do it. And 6 months to a year, whatever it was, he walked out of that hospital. And it just goes to show that if you want something bad enough, that if you work towards it, you manifest it, you tap into that feeling, who can stop you? The universe isn't going to stop you. Thank you guys so much for listening to me. Thanks for coming. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you guys have any more comments or questions for us. I'd love to answer any more questions that you guys might have. Definitely leave us a comment if you have some. I'd love to go over anything you guys got. Thank you so much for sticking to the end. If you're seeing this, I really do appreciate it. We've worked really hard to get the YouTube off the ground. Our editors are awesome. Our guys that are working behind the scenes, Ryan Lloyd, Sebastian Cerati, I sincerely appreciate you guys. And shout out to all the entrepreneurs out there that sound crazy every time they talk to their family or friends. I'm just like you. Thanks, guys. Bye. We love you.